And we are live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of MovieCast. I am your host once again. I apologize. I am Dana, and I am joined here by Richard Bailey Jr. Good evening, Mr. Bailey. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you very much, Dana. Just recovering from Thanksgiving, Black Friday over the last few days. How about yourself?
I am recovering from laziness. I'm doing great.
That's good.
I'm happy that your Black Friday. I hope it went well. Did you go shopping?
Oh no, the only thing that I purchased was I picked up Assassin's Creed Odyssey digitally, so I didn't have to worry about no crazy people out in these streets.
What? You wasn't involved in any fights or no shootings at malls that occurred this weekend?
Oh no, no, no. I've only experienced the craziness of Black Friday one time, and that was one time was enough. So I didn't want to be out there because, believe it or not, the people driving in the city is worse. That's worse than getting into a fight. People cannot drive to save their life in this city.
That's terrible. But I'm very happy that it went well, that you're safe, you're sound, you're full of turkey,
Oh
and that
yes,
you're able to join me once again to talk about everything that's going on in these here movie streets.
absolutely, absolutely. And there's a lot of stuff going on.
There is a lot. There's a lot on the agenda. So let's get started right away. Really surprised to see this, especially during the whole. I know Disney has its own streaming service that's coming up. And Marvel, sorry, well, Disney Marvel has its own streaming services coming up. So I was really shocked to see this. We are getting the Avengers Infinity War on Netflix on Christmas Day. So you could join your family and cry together as everyone basically dies. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, yeah. So the only question I have is how fast will this be removed from Netflix? Because will it be at the snap of Thanos's fingers?
Uh,
Because as you said, Disney has their own streaming service. I don't understand why this is even on Netflix unless this deal was made before the Disney decided to, you know, decide to venture out and do their own streaming service. I have no idea.
Me neither. I was really surprised about this, and I kind of wonder if this is going to be the last Marvel movie that we'll see on Netflix, or is Ant Man and the Wasp going to be the last one?
That is actually a really good question because I forgot about Ant Man and the Wasp, and I do know that they still have the Netflix shows that are also supposed to debut next year. You know, Punisher season 2 and Jessica Jones season 3. So I would assume that maybe this is the last of the movies, but that's a good thing. You know, Ant Man Wasp may not ever come to Netflix if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know. It should be interesting, but at least we have, the Avengers, so that should be fun. We can relive that over again. And no matter how many times have I seen it, I've always just been depressed afterwards.
Oh yeah, on Christmas Day of all days.
Christmas.
So
Well,
yeah.
it's okay. I don't get presents anyway, so I could just cry. also, also, I have to talk about that's kind of like a big thing, somewhat. Batwoman. We finally saw Batwoman's appearance in the Elseworld crossover trailer promo. So, for those who do not know, every year CW does a crossover with their Superwoman. I mean, Supergirl. I said Superwoman. I'm thinking of Batwoman and Supergirl at the same time. So, Superwoman. They do their crossover episodes with Supergirl, The Flash, and Arrow. This time, joining will be Batwoman, who looks pretty much to comic book character. It's being played by Ruby Rose. Those who known her from uh, Orange is the New Black. She is playing Kathy Kane. I know a lot of people are very excited, but the clip was very brief. All we got to see was just a lot of wig. She's in her costume, the full body uh, Batwoman costume, and that luscious red wig that she borrowed from Medusa in Humans. But it's really interesting. What I did love about it is that you have all of the Gotham City imagery. They got that right. And you get the Arkham Asylum, and you have the bat signal, and Batwoman is like perched atop a building, and then you see her like in her full regalia, her whole costume thing. And what was really interesting is that the Flash says it's not Batman. So we're so used to him. I think Batman is kind of like a tricky thing when it comes to the DC or the DCU or DCEU, the DC TV show universe. I know he was mentioned like only once or maybe twice during Arrow, but we get the whole it's not Batman thing, and it looks really interesting. For those who don't know, everyone's superpowers get switched. So Stephen Amell will basically be the Flash, while the Flash will be Green Arrow. So if anyone's interested in that, I suggest taking a look at that. It looks like it's going to be really fun. Batwoman right now doesn't do anything for me. I need to see a little bit more than just here I am in my costume.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. Because I couldn't even tell that it was the actress when I saw the character, which I guess is a good thing. But yeah, we definitely have to see more because that clip is entirely too short to really get a feel for how she's going to do in the role.
Yeah, no, we got a good look at the chin. We saw some chin. Chinny chin chin. It's a nice chin.
Yeah.
It was Batwoman-y chin. But for those who don't know, aside from the whole switching the powers, Batman has abandoned Gotham City like 3 years prior to all of this. And so everyone is like really afraid because, Batman was the guy to keep down the crime and everything has just been going a little bit haywire. And so now it seems that Batwoman is taking the place of Batman. So that should be interesting in that aspect. And I know that if this crossover episode goes well, if people end up generating more interest about Batwoman, the goal is for her to have her own series. So that should be interesting as well. And I know the LGBTQ plus community is very happy because she is a lesbian.
Yeah.
Yes. So kudos to that. I just hope it doesn't suck.
Well, they have an opportunity with this crossover. So yeah, hopefully they do a good job on that so we can see more of her in this role in the future.
Yeah, I do hope. And, she's had a pretty good career. So maybe it'll work out for her. Fingers crossed. But we'll see. So moving on, those who don't know, we are getting a Sopranos movie prequel. So it's not, what's going on now. It's everything that happened when they were younger. When they were around like in their 20s. Rest in peace, James Gandolfini. So far, I would be interested in a prequel. But this is going to be for a movie. This is not a TV show. This is not even, a Netflix or Showtime or HBO, whatever thing it originally came on. This is going to be a movie. And my whole thing is, I just wonder if people are interested in going to the movies to see The Sopranos prequel. I know it was really big in its heyday. My thing is that it's been, a good almost decade since the show wrapped. So I wonder if it can pull in that same type of crowd and energy.
I believe that is a very good question to ask because I definitely think there's a lot of time has passed in between this series. I know they're also doing, I believe, a movie for Breaking Bad that has to do with Jesse, and I thought to myself, I am somewhat interested to see what happened with Jesse after the events, but this is a long period of time in between the show and the movie. So with this, it's even longer. So I don't really know how many people are going to be interested. I mean, we know that, as you said, rest in peace to James Gandolfini. He will not be a part of this in any way, shape, or form unless they put footage from the show in the actual movie. But I'm just curious how they're going to sell people on this so long after the show has ended.
Yeah, and I know there are diehard fans who really, really love the show. And those who haven't seen it, I strongly suggest, it's on demand, on someone's demand, I'm sure. Showtime. So it's on Showtime on demand, and to go and to really watch the show. I believe it was a Showtime.
Yeah, yeah. Showtime or HBO. I don't remember what network it
Showtime or
was.
HBO, but I strongly suggest you go and watch it. And it is very good. It's the life of a mobster and his
I
family.
there is one question I want to ask. But they obviously can't do this for the obvious reason that he is no longer around. Do you think it would have been interesting to show what really happened after the way the show ended?
No,
When
it's
that,
cheap. You ended it really crappily. Why are we returning 10 years later? And also the way how it ended, it allowed people to come up with their own,
theories, yeah,
theories. I know it frustrated a lot of people. I know people actually went and broke their TVs. I know it was like a collective, oh my gosh, did my cable just go out? But I think that it really cheapens what they did all those years ago. And it's,
yeah.
the same if you was the answer and if you asked the writers what really happened and they would answer. I don't think that they should do that at all.
Okay,
So
because I was wondering if they had a chance between doing the prequel and doing this, would people want to see that more than the prequel, or would they just decide the prequel is what they wanted to see?
I don't think anyone wants to see anything. I think we asked for like 10 years ago. Not exactly now. I mean, I just hope it works out. I don't know. I have no clue if this is even if people even really care so much.
Why can't it just be a TV event instead of a movie that you have to go to the theater to see?
More money. You
Yeah,
get more money that way.
yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. But yeah, it should be interesting either way. If you're a Sopranos fan, I hope you like it. If not, then I don't know what to tell you. Go see something else.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Moving on a little bit, there is a TV show that I have been ranting and raving about. I was able to see earlier this year. I would have to say around September. Um, and I know that it's still ongoing. It's only up to episode 7, and that is a TV show on ABC. It is called A Million Little Things. It is basically This Is Us for suicide. Now, I know that's going to turn a lot of people off because those who do watch This Is Us already know what it's like to just cry through episodes. But this, I feel, is a show that is very necessary. It's about these best friends, they're 4 best friends. One of them ends up committing suicide. No, 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 nothing. Just, everybody was really close. They hung out. They go to hockey games. Everyone's families are close, so the wives are all close with each other. And he just decides to one day walk off the ledge of his building, and he falls to his death and he dies. And during that time, it focuses on suicide and how it has a ripple effect to those who are left behind. But it also deals with how each of these characters were going on with their own problems during this time and how it can either force them closer or force them apart. Um, so you have the guy who committed suicide. You have one guy who is an African American guy who during right before he was getting the phone call that his friend died, he was trying to commit suicide himself. And so it focuses on suicide within the African American community and how throughout the years we're always told to, that's just life, suck it up or go and pray on it. And what really happens when you allow yourself to seek therapy and to seek medication and to allow yourself to be treated that way and how it affects his family, his wife. Um, and also how his friend's suicide kind of saved him from committing his own suicide. Another of the friends, he's in a very miserable marriage. Him and his wife, they don't really have any chemistry, and you see that in the TV show. There's no chemistry. She's a working mom. She's an attorney. She's hardly ever there. They have a son, and he decides to step out on the marriage, and he's been carrying on this affair for several months. I won't spoil who the affair is with, but it's one of those type of affairs where it's just, I understand that you cheated and that it hurts, but of all people in this world, you did not have to cheat on this person. And it kind of fractures their friendship and everything that goes on. Another one of the friends, he is a man who has breast cancer. And even though he's in remission, it's about what men have to go through breast cancer. And they do get breast cancer, and it highlights that. And he meets this girl who is also dealing with her own breast cancer story. And hers is, it came back. And she's deciding whether or not to seek treatment, which can kill her, essentially. Either way, you're going to die. Either she can seek treatment and there's a possibility of her living, but to go through that treatment is like you just want to die. Or to just say, I don't want treatment, allow me to die and allow me to live in the moment each and every day. So that's just the basic part of it. And each episode is, it just keeps getting better and better. And you see how these storylines cross over. And the guy who committed suicide, he was very clear of what he was doing. It wasn't like one day I'm going to just jump out the window and just jump out. He made plans on what he was doing, how he was going to take care of each and every person. And it shows that our lives and our friendships, even the random people that we meet, how we got to this point right now in our lives is not made from one thing. For example, they all became friends because they were stuck in an elevator together. It was about all these million little things that added up together that ended up forming their bond and their friendship that they have today. So I know that may sound really corny, but it is one of the best TV shows that it's on now. So it's on episode 8. I believe this week is going to be episode 8, but it is one of those shows that I just suggest you binge watch and just, yes, you may cry, but it is something that you really should watch. And it talks about topics that we don't see that often. Yes, we get suicide topics, but not in the African American community and how it affects Black men. So that is one of the shows that I love with all of my heart and all of my soul. So
that's a very that's a very clever title. Now that you mentioned it that way, yeah, I definitely will check that out at some point.
It's very smart. It's very, very smart. But yes, so that is something that I suggest. Also, This Is Us is in its 3rd season now. I believe also episode 8 is this week. Those who don't know, it kind of catches up everything from the previous season. I know that, remember, it left off with Deja as one of the girls that was adopted. She basically has a breakdown because her mom signed away all her parental rights and was like, I can't take care of you. I can't do it. And what it's like as a kid whose parent just walks away from you and is like, I can't deal with you. I can't raise you. And basically ships you off to go live with another family. And even though that family wants her desperately and they fight for her, you kind of have to deal with, I'm loved, but I'm not loved by the people who should love me. She has a father that she knows and she finds out. And it isn't like any type of like, she goes through this healing process where it's like she let go of all the pain that she had and her moving forward, living with this family and how that affects her and everything about growing up. I know we also have Kate. I know the last time that we left Kate wanted to have a baby, and we saw that Toby was in this very depressive state. And we later find out that Kate wants to get pregnant, and because of her weight, she is obese. Because of her weight, it's hard for her to get pregnant and for her to get IVF. A lot of doctors don't want to do the IVF treatment. Many people may think that it's just shots. It's more than just shots. You have to go and take out the eggs and basically create. I'm not a scientist, so if I botch this, I apologize. But you have to. It involves an invasive procedure with eggs and sperms and petri dishes. And the thing is that Toby's sperm count is very low. And he wants a child and he wants to please her and he wants that family. We go back in his past a little bit and learn about his family, but he wants this family. And in order for him, he views in his mind, for him to have that family, he has to get off of his antidepressants. And so it shows what happens when he is off those antidepressants. And he is the opposite of the Tony that we know and we love, and like the fun guy. He's like very depressed. He's constantly in his bed. She has to force him just to basically live. So she's dealing with that and trying to get pregnant and the stresses of that. Also, it follows Jack. It goes back in time during the war, the Vietnam War, and it follows Jack and his brother. We learn about his brother. So, like the previous seasons, when we all knew that Jack was going to die, we just didn't know how. This one focuses on, we know Jack's brother is going to die. It's during the Vietnam War. We're told that he dies during the war. We don't know if he dies exactly in war or if it's suicide, but he is one of those guys who, you know how people can go to war and man up, and that's the wrong term to use to say man up, but can go to war and like be okay with it. He's this guy who's not confrontational. He sticks to himself. He's shy. He's quiet. He just isn't that social type of person, and going to war would essentially destroy him and kill him. But we, as the viewer, don't know how he dies. And I don't know if they're going to pull another Jack thing where we all knew that. Remember, we knew that Jack dies in a fire, but then we found out that it's technically not a fire and that he died from something completely different. So we do know that his baby brother does die during the war. I just don't know where it is. Maybe it could be during the war and he's on a plane going home and it crashes and he dies. Don't know. But it's something that he never talks about. Jack never talks about. And his siblings wants to find out more about their father's past. And so they focus on that. And so right now it's a series that everyone loves. You will be crying, but it's just one of those shows that just keeps getting better and better and better. I just kind of hope that each season is not a who done it or what happened, like someone's dead. Let's find out how, and then spend the whole season dragging that out. But so far it's very good. So you should check that out, Richard.
I definitely have to catch up on that. Yeah, I saw Jack's untimely death, and
Yes.
yeah, very emotional. So I definitely need to check out to see what happens this
So like
season.
years and years we waited for that, and it was still emotional. It was sad, and that was all credit due to Mandy Moore, who really deserves some kind of award because it's ridiculous how amazing she is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, but I know
absolutely.
that you saw a couple House of Cards and some Wreck-It Ralphs and things.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and start with House of Cards. That has been on Netflix since the beginning of this month. That was when it debuted. I believe it was November 2nd. So I finally finished watching it last night. The season is only 8 episodes. Obviously it's reduced because of what happened with Kevin Spacey. He is not on the show. However, his character is mentioned on the show because the character supposedly died off camera. So I do want to say this about the show. I'm glad that they gave Robin Wright the opportunity to portray her character and be the focal point of the season, because I felt like they were heading in that direction anyway, based off of what happened last season and how she was basically butting heads with Frank. So I'm glad that they provided her the opportunity to just show people what she could do if she became president, which is totally good for me, totally fine. What I did not like is how they had to conclude this particular season and how they had to shorten it to 8 episodes. Because what I did find out is they were initially going to have some spin-off shows for two characters. Obviously, the character that Michael Kelly played, Doug Stamper, was going to have a spin-off show. And they were also going to give the actor that played Tom Hammerschmidt, who was the news reporter, they were also going to give him a show as well. Unfortunately, both of those characters didn't make it to the end of this season. So, and then I did find out that not too long after that, Michael Kelly did confirm in an interview that they canceled that spinoff show. So that was unfortunate to see that, because I like the character he played in Doug. but I did not really understand, nor did I like the way they concluded the show. So, for those who haven't seen the show, spoiler alert: what does happen at the end of the show is that it is revealed that Doug actually killed Frank, and as he is confronting Claire about this, because the whole thing is that in Frank's will, it basically, he basically gave everything to Doug. So once Doug finds out this information and he tries to get the will back, it's revealed that Robin Wright is now pregnant with child, and that it clearly states that all of the assets that Frank was going to get, everything that he owns, would go to his kin if they were to have a child. So it's revealed that she is pregnant. So she basically takes this away from Doug. And at the end of the season, when he finally confronts her in the White House, where there's no security in the room, because that totally makes sense. In the White House, basically he threatens to, he basically puts a pin to her neck, Frank's pin, to basically stab her. And then he stops himself, and that which gives her enough time to stab him. So basically, when the show ends, it is revealed that yes, Doug did reveal himself to be the one that killed Frank, but then he is also killed. After that, we don't know what happens to Robin Wright's character. We don't know what happens to her child, who is still in her womb at this time. We don't know what happens, because she talks about plotting to do an attack with the, because she makes up this, fabricates this thing about the Russians having nuclear weapons, and she talks about she's going to drop a nuclear weapon if they try to invade. But none of that stuff is answered. We don't know what happens with any of this other stuff, because it just abruptly ends the way it does. Now, I understand if they want to keep it open-ended so people can draw their own conclusions as to what's going to happen, how Claire and Frank's child is going to survive in this world afterward. None of that stuff is, it's fine if you want to give people that theory, but I do think that I will say I'm disappointed, because I personally feel as though Frank Underwood is a character that did horrible things. We saw it from season 1 onward. So I would have gotten glory out of seeing him go down for all the stuff that he's done. But instead, because of what happened with Kevin Spacey, I understand they couldn't have him on that show anymore because of all the stuff that he did in real life that was equally horrifying. So I respect the decision not to have him. I understand it, but I think if anyone who saw that show and you saw how evil and manipulative that character was, you needed to see that character go down. And unfortunately, due to the actor's real life being so, so controversial, we will never get to see that. So what I will say though is, I still enjoyed the show for what it's worth. I am going to actually miss the show, because I enjoyed a lot of the characters they had on the show. I liked how they showed how corrupt some things are in politics behind the scenes. But overall, I have to say, disappointed with the conclusion, because there's so many things that are left unanswered. But again, I understand they had to do what they had to do, so it is what it is. But I don't know what to say.
That was like so cheap. I felt that even though they had to quickly do production, that they could have at least found something better than that, and to not leave it at this open-ended type thing, knowing that the show was never going to come back. That they knew.
I agree.
Grant had a short period of time to work everything out, but they knew the show wasn't going to come back, so they could have at least had something that was a bit more conclusive and satisfactory to the fans, because that is very cheap of what they did. It just doesn't make any sense.
I agree.
And Robin Wright, she deserves more of that than that. I
agree.
Unless you're going to have some kind of spinoff and you're not telling anybody, and you just look up and next year it's like, hey, look, she has her own show, then fine. But other than that, that's just really disrespectful, I feel, to the actor and to the fans.
Oh no, I agree 100%. And even the thought to have a shortened season is disrespectful also, because that tells me that you don't have enough faith in the story to extend it to the same length of episodes as the other seasons. So I really don't understand. I felt like at least if it was 13 episodes, you could have extended the storyline out further and done more things. But yeah, they just needed to. I think what happened is because they started production on this when before these allegations came to surface with Frank Underwood. You know, after refer to him as Frank Underwood, I can't really talk about the actor's real name because you know we might have some people complain, you know, after the fact. But yeah, then when they found out the allegations, they just stopped production and then they put it on hold. But I guess Netflix decided, listen, we need to get this show over with. We just want to be done with this show and wash it off our hands. So they probably said, get it back to production, get it done. It doesn't matter how it's done, just get it done. I guess. I mean, I don't know. That's what my guess would be, but unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate, and you know, it was something that was very sudden and sad. But I just felt script wise, it just could have been given a little bit more care. Even if you only do 8 episodes, leave out things you don't need.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And then you had all the other side characters, you know, diving into their story, and then we find out that Michael Landon, you know, he really does have parental issues in this show and in American Horror Story, apparently. So, yeah, that was interesting.
Well, will always be one of my favorite actors.
Yes, yes.
But so, yeah,
we'll see. But yes, moving on from that show, you know, I did see one movie, and I did see some other movies I'll talk about later. But one movie that I did go see on Wednesday night, I went to go see Wreck-It Ralph 2. I decided to see it in 3D because I wanted to see first and foremost if the movie needs to be seen in 3D, and also because that was the only available screening that was left because all of the 2D screenings, they were no longer, they were either later in the night. It wasn't at a time that I was in the theater because I was near a theater at that particular time and I wanted to see a movie. So, Wreck-It Ralph 2. So, I enjoyed Wreck-It Ralph, the first one, a lot. So, going into this movie, I had a bit of an idea of what to expect. And the thing about it is that I was still, even though I saw the commercials earlier, I still very much enjoyed the movie because, again, two things I want to mention with the movie. Of course, it looked fantastic. Of course, the subject matter is the characters are now going towards the internet because what essentially happens in the story is the girl character, her game, you know, she basically is bored of being in the same game world, and she basically wants new and exciting challenges. So Wreck-It Ralph decides to create a level in her game that, you know, and then, you know, he creates a level in the game that is totally different, that adventures off course. So what ends up happening is when there are these two girls that come to the shop to play the game is pretty much going normal as you would expect. Then her character, the girl's character in the game, decides to venture out and go into this new land this new road that Ralph has created. By doing that, the girl's the wheel is controlling itself as it's driving, so they get freaked out and they you know forcing back and forth. So basically, the wheel breaks. So essentially, the owner of the arcade tries to find a replacement wheel and basically finds one on eBay, but it's hundreds and thousands of dollars. He decides, oh, well, I can't afford this. So Wreck-It Ralph and the girl, they decide to go onto the internet and try to go and find this wheel and get it. You know, eBay. So you see a lot of product placement stuff within this movie all throughout. We know I see Amazon, I see eBay, YouTube, etc. What ends up happening when they go to the World Wide Web? Two very important things that I'm very glad they touched upon. Wreck-It Ralph starts to create videos that become viral, and he's basically doing that to earn money to basically pay for the wheel for eBay so he can get it for his friend. So what ends up happening, though, is as he does these videos, he starts to see people commenting on the videos on social media. And they, of course, highlight the negatives of social media, how people leave nasty comments and very toxic behavior on, you know, towards stuff that you're doing and how they react. I am so glad that they showed that to show people exactly what are some of the negatives of social media. Yeah, you can see positives when people like your stuff, but you can also see that people have some negative comments. So they didn't shy away from that, and I did appreciate that. The other thing, though, the main real topic of the story is that the girl character wasn't happy with where she was at. You know, for Wreck-It Ralph, he really got used to everything being normal, hanging out with his friend, doing normal things in the arcade setting. But what ends up happening is this other character, she wants to do more. And while they're on the internet, she discovers a new land, like another game, another racing game that is a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more over the top, more challenging. So obviously, she wants to be in that game. And essentially, what ends up happening as the story progresses, she eventually ends up becoming a part of that game and basically leaving Ralph to go back to the arcade and continue living his everyday life that he was living. But the whole point of that was to emphasize that if you have friends that have dreams and aspirations, you shouldn't hold them back. You can still keep in contact with the person, which they do still keep in contact, and they still do hang out occasionally from time to time. But it really hit home the fact that if someone wants to do something, um, you definitely should be supportive of them. If there's something that they want to do with their life, if they want to go out and if it doesn't include you, give them the space to let them do what they want to do. Don't hold them back from doing what they want to do because everybody has dreams and aspirations that they want to go after. And my whole thing is when I saw the trailers, I didn't at all get that that's what the story was going to be about. So I was surprised to see that particular topic touched upon because I do know, I know with everything that Gary and I have been doing when we were starting to work and make the Koalition website, we didn't really want to hold back anybody from doing certain things that they wanted to do. So I thought the messaging was great, and I was appreciative that they actually put that messaging in there. Um, I just thought there was a lot of positive that was said with it. But with that said, if you was to ask me, did I enjoy this more than the first film? I would say I still enjoyed the first one more. But this second film was still a great film, and I would recommend that anybody who was a fan of the first one go see it. Especially bring your kid to see it, but also go as an adult, and you will get something out of this as well. Because the message is not just for kids; it's for pretty much anyone. If they've ever had a friend that you were very close with, is very good to see in general. But yeah, I definitely recommend it's a movie that people check out if they are interested in and they enjoyed the first one. It is a must see without a doubt.
Disney always seems to have a message, so I'm happy that they focused on that as well. And also, there was so many different cameos from basically everyone's childhood, so that's always fun as well to look and see.
Oh yeah, I was very surprised to see the Street Fighter cameos.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing. They all these properties they're able to use, so that was fun. I will
Yes,
say.
I agree.
I agree too. So yeah, that sounds like a really great movie to check out and see. And there's one more thing that I was able to see. It's a TV show, Lifetime, called You. Why Are You? It's based on the book of the same name by Caroline Kep- Kepnes. Um, it's it's on Lifetime, which was kind of weird at first, but then I realized Lifetime is kind of like the king or the queen of those thriller movies. And this is a TV show, 10 episodes. It's about this guy named Joe Goldberg, who works at a bookstore. And he observes people every day and then walks this girl. And he falls in love. Her name is Guinevere, but she goes by Beck. He instantly falls in love with her, and instead of the traditional way of, "Hey, may I take you out for a cup of coffee?" he instead stalks her online. She pays at the bookstore using a credit card, and he's able to look up the credit card and find out who she is through her social media accounts that she leaves open. So everything is always public because she's always one of those people that's crying out and looking for attention. It's later found out. He ends up stalking her and manipulating her into falling in love with him. And it goes into his past. He had previous relationships that kind of didn't work out really well, and we can't find out where the girlfriends are currently. So it's that kind of suspicion of, oh, what did you do? Um, but it also switches narratives between Joe and Beck as well, and it shows what Beck is really like and all of the lies that she produces in her life in order to get people to like her or to fall in with like the rich crowd, and how essentially everyone is using each other on social media to create the perfect life that we always want, but in fact we're hiding from what our lives really are. And it gets very violent and very bloody, and he works at the bookstore, and a lot of bodies end up at the basement of this bookstore. He's able to get any type of distractions out of the way pretty efficiently. It lends itself heavily to the book, and in the narration very much to the book, but it also changes a lot of things where it makes it a little bit easier. In the book there were some problems with plot holes and things that just happened too quickly. With the TV show, because it's like 10 hours long, they're able to change certain things so that it goes much smoothly, and we learn about his past, and we learn about what happened to his previous girlfriends and what they went through. And there's a twist at the end, and some sadness does happen, and there's a lot of shock. And Beck doesn't seem to be that perfect girl that he imagines in his head, or the perfect girl that she pretends to be, and she has to face some consequences along the way as well for that. So if anyone is looking for a TV show that it's completely done that you can binge watch, I recommend that. That is on Lifetime. So go watch You. It's a good thriller, and it's by the same people who did all of the CW shows, the whole way back from Gossip Girl to the producer is also involved with The Flash. So he knows Greg Berlanti knows what he's doing when it comes to TV shows, and he really did help with DC Titans because that could have been a mess, but it's not that bad. Doom Patrol looks rather good, so I recommend that. Also,
Definitely gotta check it. Definitely gotta check that out.
definitely got to check that out. So there was a couple trailers that dropped this week that have a lot of people talking. First was one little small, I think it's a little independent movie about an elephant with some big ears. Not sure. Oh, Dumbo? Or was it Jumbo? I'm not sure. But yeah, Disney's live action. Now, this is an actual live action. It has humans in it. The live action trailer for Dumbo was released. Obviously, Dumbo is CGI, the elephant with the big ears. And it is the remake of the original classic that I only seen once in my life because it put me in such a state of depression that I refuse to watch it ever again. But they remade Dumbo, and it is by Tim Burton. It stars everyone you can think of, and including Danny DeVito. So you've seen the trailer. How do you feel about Dumbo?
Let me just say this right now. No disrespect to Disney. I know Disney has a ton of movies they're going to be dropping next year. We're going to get into another discussion about another little low budget movie called The Lion King later on. But I when I saw this trailer, I was like, oh man, yeah. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I think it'll be great for kids. The issue that I have with a lot of these trailers is that they reveal too much of the story, too much of the movie, too many shots that you could have just waited to tell me later. And even with this here, like I know the story, I know the cartoon. Um, I feel for those that haven't seen that though, they possibly already know now what the full story is by watching that trailer. We know that it gets separated from his mom, and they're trying to get him, get the elephant back with the mom. I mean, I understand that, but I mean, damn, the trailer shows everything. So, but with that said, the thing is, it's still going to do well at the box office. I think. I think visually it looks great. It looks great visually, and I think that it was a good decision to involve the people that they have involved with making the game, with making it, as far from a visual standpoint. But I just think at the end of the day, I mean, it is intriguing. It's a good cast, so I'm sure it's going to do well. I'm not 100% sure if it's a movie that I want to see personally yet, but I mean, I still think Disney will it's going to do well for Disney and for those that actually want to see it. But yeah, that's just my thought. I just again though, I see a trailer and I see all of the movie. It's very very annoying, because it's like, man, when I go to now, I don't need to see the movie. You showed me the whole movie from beginning to end in a few minutes. So
it's you know what? Even though I know I've seen it once. It came out in 1941. Obviously, it wasn't around in 1941. But when I see it around, I'm gonna probably say the early 2000s or the 90s. It is depressing. And it's heartbreaking. And it is about this. I know they changed some of the storylines, but the original name of Dumbo was Jumbo. With the big ears, and he's called Dumbo because everyone thinks he's dumb. And it is the saddest act of cruelty. It's so depressing. But he's in this circus. He has a circus life. He's separated from his mother, and he has these really big ears, but he's capable of flying. And he only has one friend aside from his mother, which is the mouse, Timothy. And we didn't get to see Timothy in the trailer, so that's a good thing. But it was so freaking sad. But it looks so beautiful, and anyone who knows Tim Burton knows that he makes these really quirky type of movies, and he's always very colorful and very animated, and I'm just really happy Helen Bonham Carter is not in it, but he those movies that is just really beautiful. The only problem, and I'm pretty sure they removed this, is that it was really racist back in. It was like Jim Crow racist. So I'm pretty sure that they removed that. But it looks like it's very beautiful, and I hope that it's lives up to that hype. I won't see it just for the simple fact that I was like in a crying coma when I was supposed to when I watched it the first time. But it looks very beautiful. And anyone who is interested in it, it is released on March 29th of 2019. So
yeah, next year. That's
year, everything now. So that's around the corner. So good luck for those who've seen it, and bring tissues. But also, one of the trailers that dropped was the Red Band trailer for What Men Want, which is the remake of What Women Want, which originally starred Mel Gibson, about a guy who can hear the inner thoughts of women and therefore help people with their relationships in his own life. His marriage was failing. So this one, What Women Want, stars Taraji P. Henson in the title role. What do you feel about that one?
Okay, so the first question I have to ask is, you said that this is a remake, correct?
Yeah, it's a remake.
So does that mean that we're not going to get any appearance from Mel Gibson whatsoever in the movie as a callback?
I don't know. He could easily make a cameo.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see about that. When I saw the Red Band trailer, I mean, to me, it looked a little corny, but then I saw that little line at the end with the little kid who was wearing the girl's underwears and says, "Welcome to Wakanda." I laughed at that. So I think everybody in the theater laughed when they saw that part. So, I mean, it's as far as it being funny, I'm pretty sure it'll have some funny elements to it. I'm hoping that as far as when she's thinking about when she actually hears what the guys are thinking, that it's not going to all be, some of the stereotypical things they think about what most guys think about, because I'm sure that there are some guys out there that actually think about other things besides stuff like sex and all this other things. So I would hope that some of that is going to be a little diverse in terms of how you portray how she's thinking about what she is actually hearing these guys think about in their minds. But I don't know yet. The only thing I'm going to say is this, because I do know that Will Packer is involved, if I am correct. I have respect for, and I said this before on the show, I have a lot of respect for these people out here doing what they do and making these movies. But I just feel like when it comes to the movies done by black directors with the black leading, the black leads. I'll say what?
No, real quick. He's the producer. Adam Shakeman, a white man, is the director.
Okay. Sorry. I can't say what I was going to say then. Yeah. No. Okay. Forget it then. So yeah, a comedy movie that's fine. I guess we'll see. I was going to say I like to see them do other things other than comedies, but again, we'll see what this movie brings to the table. But I thought some of it was a little corny. But like I said, if they can actually portray the men to actually think about other things other than what everyone always speculates men always think about, then that's fine. And if you throw in a Mel Gibson appearance in there, then yeah, okay. I'm like, okay, that's good. Because I don't really know if a lot of people are going to recognize that this is a remake. I'm pretty sure a lot of people who know Mel Gibson know about the movie he did before. So I would hope that you get him in there in some way, shape, or form as a callback. It would have been cool if perhaps he was the doctor that she spoke to, but we already know that Erykah Badu is the one she talks to in the movie about this stuff. So we'll see.
Interesting. I don't think it needs Mel Gibson. I think it stands fine on its own. It's just a remake we never asked for, but we're getting anyway. Yeah, I don't think it needs Mel Gibson at all, and he's busy doing whatever he's doing and offending whoever he's offending. Yeah, but yeah. So anyone who looks forward to that will release next year as well. Everything's releasing next year. So, yay. So to move on a little bit, there was a 5-minute trailer or 5-minute opening sequence of the sci-fi TV show based on George R.R. Martin, Night Flyer. And I know you was able to see that. That is a TV show that is coming. Once again, everything's coming like next year. That is coming next year to sci-fi. How do you feel about that?
I actually enjoyed that very much. I wasn't prepared for the conclusion of that particular trailer though. When the lady decides to slit her own throat with that. Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that. And I'm like, well, hold on, this is a little graphic for TV. But then I realized, oh, sci-fi. Well, okay, yeah. Well, then it is what it is. I have no idea what the hell is going on in the trailer. I just know that obviously she sends out that distress message: do not board the ship. So I'm assuming that we'll learn about what's on the ship, why she said that, and then obviously somebody's still going to board it, because otherwise, why are you going to have the show? So something bad is going to happen for sure. I mean, we know that. So, but no, I was very much into it. I just want to see more and learn more about it. So hopefully we get more answers sooner rather than later.
Well, it is based. Well, it comes out December 2nd, 2018. So I'm sorry, it's a 2018 show, but it's based on a novel that it takes place in 2093, where a bunch of scientists, they embark on a journey into space. They go on this very advanced ship that's called the Night Flyer, and they end up making contact with an alien. Weird and terrifying and strange scientific sci-fi things start to occur, and a lot of violence occurs as well. And they begin basically questioning why they're there, what their real intent of the mission is, and they question each other on board. So it becomes very violent in that type of sense of you can't trust anyone and you don't know what's going on.
So that guy that comes after her is a scientist, or is that just some random guy that that's what I was confused at, like someone who was just like invading the aircraft, if you will.
We don't know. It could easily be a scientist, or maybe it's an alien.
Okay. Interesting.
That's why you gotta watch it and find out and see on December 2nd.
Yes, well, that's only a few weeks, so I'll definitely check that out
That
soon.
is that is only a few weeks. And also we got the release of the Lego Movie 2 trailer, which continues the lovely episodes from the first one, which was hilarious. I know you got a chance to see that as well. Do you have any thoughts?
Oh, yeah, my only thought is that I definitely need to see the first movie. Uh,
Oh, right.
yeah, I got to see the first movie, but that trailer was hilarious. Yeah, it's funny to me. I didn't really realize the cast that they had in that movie or the first one, so I definitely need to see the first movie. But the trailer was hilarious. I absolutely I laughed at most of everything that I saw in that. So um yeah, I need to check out the first movie as soon as possible, and I'll definitely see it before the this other movie comes out. I believe in February. So I
Yeah,
have a little bit of time. Yeah.
so for those who don't know and who has seen the previous one, it takes place 5 years after the events of Taco Tuesday. The Diplo invaders, based on the actual Diplo Lego set. It's really smart. This is why you have to watch it. They have basically turned Bricksburg into a post-apocalyptic wasteland. And as a result, Finn Father is now allowing his younger sister to play with him. Those who don't know, it was a weird thing about interaction with Legos. And, as adults, sometimes we collect the Legos and we build these amazing things, but we don't ever play with them. And he had a son who was really just wanted to play with his Legos. And he was like, no, you can't touch it. And what kind of interactions and bonds that happen. And in the last movie, I know they had a baby sister, and the baby sister would very much wanted to play with the Legos, which is how the Diplo Lego set involves. Those who don't know, those are really big Lego blocks meant for like 5-year-olds and 3-year-olds. So now that the child has joined in with the fun, Diplo has invaded all of Bricksburg, and everything is just this apocalyptic wasteland. And as I was saying, so now Emmett, who is always, if you all know, everything is happy and wonderful, everything is awesome. He is unaffected by everything, and he still likes to pretend that everything is awesome, unlike everybody else, who is basically a shell of them former selves, and they're very hardened and toughened and depressed, and they're ready to fight and to take back their town. So now you have to deal with another invader that is the General Sweet Mayhem from the sister system in outer space, who plans to join forces with the Diplo invaders and to take over the Lego universe. This is what happens when you have a 5-year-old and you have to play with, and these are the storylines. What happens is, so through this whole event, Emmett's girlfriend Lucy, who's played by Rosario Dawson, ends up getting kidnapped. So now Batman, Metal Beard, Princess Kitty, and Benny have to come together and rescue her. So it looks ridiculous. It is ridiculous, and that is what makes the Lego movies so much fun. So that will release in February 8th, 2019. So I strongly suggest that. That's a good movie, just if you want to have basic fun. So definitely see that. Also, we're going to move a little quick to a little surprise with the box office.
Uh-oh. Here we
Box
go.
office report. Apparently, people really love Venom, and it has grossed over $800 million worldwide. I don't understand, people, but okay. It has grossed over $800 million worldwide and essentially kicked out the Wonder Woman from its highest grossing film.
Well,
China.
the question I have is how much money did it make this week? Because I know they announced that there was 2 new Sony movies coming, so I assume that also had to do with increased sales. Even though they didn't announce Venom as one of those movies. I mean, one of the movies people are saying is the Morbius movie with Jared Leto, and then of course this movie. So I would assume that people they definitely heard about this and they said, "Well, I need to go see Venom," because they already knew Venom because they said an untitled sequel. So the assumption was Venom because we already knew Spider-Man is coming. But yeah,
Yeah. So it is, yeah. I don't. Blame China. Okay, just blame China. It has officially crossed 800 million. So it's now $822.5 million, and it's the second highest grossing superhero origin movie ever, behind Black Panther.
Wow,
So
that's crazy.
nothing makes sense anymore. But in regards to the weekend box office, I know this is always your favorite here.
Uh-oh.
First place is Ralph Breaks the Internet with $55 million for this
Woo!
week. Its total gross is $84.4 million. So that's number one.
Hmm.
Number two is your favorite movie, Creed. At
Oh, hell no.
you're like, oh no, 35 million with its total gross of $55 million. Number three is The Grinch.
Hmm.
At 30 million, grossing a total of 180 million. Fantastic Beasts: Crimes of Grindelwald is number four with 29 million, with
Damn.
total gross of 117 million. I know a lot of true Potter fans were very angry at this movie.
That yeah, I expected that to be higher on there. Actually, yeah,
The
that's a problem.
angry reviews from like pure fans kind of like screwed everything up, basically. They were very angry about how this whole thing is not going according to a basic timeline. So they're angry about that.
Hmm.
Bohemian Rhapsody is still there at number five, and for $13 million with its total gross of over 152 million.
Yeah, and
Instant Family is still there at number six. At least somebody saw it with 12.5 million. So that's good.
hmm.
Overall 35.7 million. That's good. Number seven, I didn't even realize that this came out this week, is Robin Hood with 9.1 million. With its gross as 14 million. So I'm shocked that it even okay now. Widows, it's still hanging on there, even though it only had 7.9.
Wow.
Overall took in 25 million. I thought it would be a little bit higher. That's offensive. Green Book, I'm shocked people even saw that, is at 5.4 million. Total growth is like not that good. Its total gross is 7.8 million. So,
Oh no, no.
and the top
The
10, yeah, that's kind of sad.
the family has won. They've won their argument.
Oh gosh, no comment on that. It's just so sad. So sad. But at the number 10, shockingly, is A Star Is Born. I know you cried during that, Lady Gaga singing. It made it 3 million. Total gross of 191 million.
Damn,
So I know you're happy for
that's a
that
lot of
though.
money.
Got your Gaga on. So yeah, that's what's been happening there. I'm shocked at Robin Hood even making the top 10.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's just really sad. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Oh, what the list as a whole?
Anything on that list?
Yeah, I'm surprised the Widows is not higher. I wanted Widows to do better because I think the movie was good. The cast was excellent in the movie. So, but it's unfortunate, because it came out at a time when, of course, Harry Potter and all these other movies were out. So I guess that impacted everything, which is unfortunate. The other complaint I have is, yeah, Fantastic Beasts, man, number four. That's to me, that's a big deal because I expected that to at least be in the top three. Um, but I guess because I figured it was number one last week. I believe it was number one last time.
One last week. It went from number one to number four. Sheesh.
Yeah, so I still expected it to be in the top three because I figured there were other people that were going to wait to see what other people had to say about the movie and then go see it. But they said, to hell with this. People said the movie is bad, so I'm not going to even bother wasting my time to go see this.
If you're a true Harry Potter fan, you will be angry.
Now that's yeah, I understand. I understand the hate, but and then of course with Green Book. I think that movie, is very confusing because I know that it came out in certain cities at a different time, and then it came out this. I don't know when the movie was out because it was out here last week. And then it's still in theaters now, but it's not at every theater either. So I think it's a somewhat limited release. I don't know if it's at every theater. So that probably attributes to why it's not making that much money. I guess I don't know. But then again, also the timing of it coming out because there's so many other movies out, and everybody ain't going to spend $14, $15 to see all these different movies. So I mean, I don't know, but definitely surprising to hear about some of those movies because I would have expected them to be higher, especially Fantastic Beasts for the second week.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. But Wreck-It Ralph #1, not surprised. That movie. When I went to go see it, it was damn near sold out at every show beforehand. So I had to see it at a later time. Even at that particular show, it was pretty packed. So I'm not surprised about that. That's congrats to Disney. Probably will be #1 again next weekend if I had to make a guess. But we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of threw me for a loop, but that's what happens when nothing makes any sense. Now I know you saw some movies this weekend.
Oh yeah.
So
Uh,
look, maybe.
yeah. So I'm gonna start with Creed 2. Um, I actually was invited to a press screening to see Creed 2 on Monday night. Um, I went to a theater here in Atlanta, a theater that I would tell any and everybody to avoid. If you want to actually go to a movie theater, go to a real movie theater. Don't go to this rundown one that I went to. But I did go see Creed 2. Um, the thing about Creed is I did get a chance to see the first one because I had to see the first one before I saw the second one. I didn't want to go into this with just seeing the sequel. And I have to say, Creed 1 is significantly better than Creed 2. Even though it's the same rundown formula of, oh yes, it's the boxer, he of course he takes a beating, loses a couple matches, and then he comes back strong, the same old ending. This particular movie here, I mean, Michael B. Jordan was good as always. He was good. I mean, I don't really think he put too much into the role because the character was already established with the first movie, which is fine. I really like Tessa Thompson,
Mm-hmm.
her portrayal of the character, how the relationship blossomed, and then of course to see the daughter being born, and then the tragedy of learning about the daughter also having the same condition as mother. That was a heartbreaker for me and everybody else that was in that particular screening. But you have to show some of these sad parts of the story, and then of course Sylvester Stallone, who was dealing with obviously he had cancer. It basically got cleared up. So in this movie, he's dealing with the fact that he hasn't established a relationship with his son, who now has a grandson. Um, so that was I understand that it was a lot that they were dealing with that whole story, trying to show the emotional side of the emotional struggles that the people deal with. With Rocky, what the stuff that he deals with after the fact that he's retired, and then of course with Adonis now being champion and feeling a ton of pressure about having to go out there and defend his name and defend his right to fight. Now, here is the issue I have with the movie, though, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, the enemy of the movie. On paper, this looks so promising, right? It looks promising because the history between his father and this other guy. So obviously, when they had the enemy, and I know that I believe this was the first acting debut of this particular guy. I believe he's a UFC fighter. He's some type of fighter. I don't really, or a boxer in real life. I don't really know because I mean, I didn't bother to do all the research on what his history was before this movie. But basically, he plays the son and Drago's son, and basically the father. They have this whole storyline of, well, because his father lost in the fight, he lost everything. He lost his wife, he lost the support of Russia, all this other BS. So he basically instills in his son, no, I need you to go out there and and reclaim what we lost. All because he lost to Rocky. But now I want you to reclaim what we lost by beating Creed, taking that belt, and then all of a sudden, everybody in Russia will jump back on you and show us support. They'll show me support. Hey, maybe I might even get back together with your mom. You never know what'll happen. I'm pretty sure that's what he was thinking. So of course, they betray him. He doesn't really say much in the movie. He talks in Russian a little bit, but he doesn't do that much talking. And that there's one point in the movie where he has an interaction with his dad, telling him when you see that he beats down Creed, but it ends in disqualification. It's a no contest, so Creed keeps the belt. After he beats him down, though, you see all the people that abandoned him and his father. All of a sudden, now they come back into the picture, and they have this one little scene where he has dialogue with his dad and say, "Why do you care about these people? They came back in, but they left us." Including the fact that his mother left him. So in that little scene right there, I thought, that's interesting. Let's see if they build upon that. And then no, they didn't. What ends up happening is they get to the fight eventually. Creed does his little workout, a new workout, figures out how to beat him, gets back together with Rocky, and then of course he beats him down, and then his father throws in the towel. Okay, we do see that his mom is at the fight. She leaves the fight. Okay, that's fine, whatever. But I just feel like you could have done so much more with this character, because I didn't at any point feel sorry for the son, because half the time he's speaking in Russian. I don't know what the hell he's saying. So I just it was disappointing for that reason, because I think they could have done more with the character. They could have made him a three-dimensional character that you care about. I think they had the little one scene he had with his dad, but they could have done so much more with that and show more of that. But instead, they just left it as is. And the fact that they got Dolph Lundgren to show up in the movie, they thought that was going to be enough. And obviously, for the fact that it is number 2 at the box office, obviously, I'm glad to see the movie has done well, even though Ryan Coogler was not involved in so much of the film. I'm still glad it did well for Michael B. Jordan in his career. But I just think the formula is tired and run down. And I don't want to see another Creed movie. I don't want to see a Creed 3. Just at the end, when Rocky hits his gloves with Creed and says, "You're the man now." Okay, I want him to say, "You're the man now." But you know what? I think it's time we both retire, because we don't need to make any more movies in this series. So I mean, and one thing I will say, I will have to say this. I have to admit that I did not have the best viewing experience, because the person who I sat next to was talking throughout the whole movie. I have respect for people who, they have reactions to what they're seeing. That's totally fine. But to talk throughout most of the movie, that was very disturbing and distracting for me, focusing on the film as a whole. But I will say, for what it's worth, those that like just to, for all the women that like to look at Michael B. Jordan and his physique, you're going to love this movie, right? Because that's why you're there, to see the movie, to check out and see how good he looks and what happens with the character. Because the woman who sat next to me the whole time saying, "Oh, my baby just got hit. Oh, my baby, he's in trouble." Man, man, listen, I could never watch a movie again like that. So hopefully I don't have to go through that experience again. But all I have to say is I hope, like I said, if it does well for Michael B. Jordan's career, then great. I wanted to see him making more movies, but I do not want to see another Creed movie. We don't need to see another Creed. We don't need the same story of the fighter having to overcome to win. I'm tired of that. If you want to surprise me, have him get knocked out at the end of the movie and don't get back up. Then I'll be like, okay, that's interesting. They had the bad guy win. Okay, good. But other than that, it's very predictable. We know the good guy is going to win. And then the last thing I'm going to mention about the movie, they had this whole thing about, why is he taking the fight? Why is he taking the fight? At the beginning, they had him saying, "Oh, it's because of the legacy of my father. I want to do it for him." And then as the storyline goes on, he comes to the realization of he's doing it because he felt all this pressure as a champion. But it's still confusing. I still don't understand why you took the fight. You could say, "Oh yeah, I wanted to prove that I'm a good champion," or whatever, but I still don't think that's a good enough reason for taking the fight. They took the fight because, listen, we need to make a sequel. We need to make it interesting. Let's have Drago in it. So that's what we're going to do. And that's what they decided to do, because that is essentially how they got people to see this movie. You have on paper, it looks great, but the execution was not all together there. So, but for those that enjoy the movie, more power to you. And as I said, if it does work wonders for both Tessa's career and Michael B. Jordan's career, that's all that matters. But honestly, I didn't think the movie was a big deal at all. So no, I didn't enjoy it. But it is what it is.
Ouch, that was scathing.
Oh no, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. But you saw the movie too, I believe.
It was rehashed. No, it was a rehashed mess. I didn't like it. I didn't really care for it. The script for me, just as you said previously, it just was not strong enough. The acting was great.
Yeah.
I had no problem with that. I had no problem with the boxing sequences. I have no problem with Tessa Thompson or Michael B. Jordan or even that UFC guy. Everything worked out with that. The thing is that the script was rehashed and it just wasn't interesting anymore.
Yeah.
I really there was something to, for him to gain or something that was really pressing for him. It just was something that just happened. And I know the third movie has not been greenlit, but we might get a Creed 3.
Well, I don't think we need another Creed. There's no disrespect to Michael B. Jordan. There's a lot of other movies he can be in. Maybe who knows? Maybe the events of Avengers 4 will somehow bring back Killmonger from the dead or something.
He's in Black Panther too, the second Black Panther.
Oh, he is.
They kind of confirmed it, but there's we don't know if it's just flashbacks.
Okay, so that's fine. Let's do that. Let's do that. Have him appear in flashbacks for every Black Panther movie moving forward or something. But Creed 3, nah, son, please. We don't need to see another Creed movie. Because what is the enemy going? Who is the enemy going to be now? He's already faced a bigger guy. Okay, that's fine. What are you going to do to make things interesting now with the third movie? You said Mr. T.
Mr. T.
No, I don't know. Mr. T is still in boxing.
He's Mr. Engineer. He's still saying how much he loves his mama from his Hall of Fame ceremony.
And then I also feel if you do a sequel, well, obviously now it's going to venture into the same territory of the other Rocky movies, where something has to happen to Sylvester Stallone because Mickey in the other movies passed away. They're probably going to make, now the cancer is back, so now Sylvester Stallone is he doesn't make it, or he passes away. Something is going to happen to the character. So I don't want them to. I think they should just leave it as is right now, and just because that's a finality end to it right there. Because again, Rocky helped him win this match. So I would think if you're going to do a third movie, there's something's probably going to happen to Rocky that will not be good. But we'll see. This is Hollywood. They can't think of original ideas, so the sequel's probably going to happen.
Ouch. That was painful. I know you saw another movie. It's a secret movie.
Yes, a secret movie.
What is the secret movie?
So I decided on Friday evening, I decided that I wanted to see another movie. I took a look at what was playing. I thought to myself, now what can I see that wouldn't possibly steal and take up most of my time? And I decided, well, I looked at a couple of reviews. I see a couple of movies have really, really bad, horrible scores. So let's put this to the test. I went to go see Robin Hood on Friday. Okay.
That bastard mess.
Yes, I went to go see Robin Hood. And this is what I have to say about Robin Hood. I think those reviews are absolutely way, way too harsh. Because the movie is not, now let me just make it clear, it's not a perfect film at all. Once again, when you watch the trailer, you have already seen most of the movie. But how they are trying to reframe the story of Robin Hood, there is some interesting elements to it. So basically, it's a love story in the sense how it starts out is that Robin Hood actually just a regular guy. There is a young woman who basically comes to I guess that you could say like the property that he has, they own horses. A young woman comes to the property and steals the horse, and he develops a relationship with her. It's a very at first sight. He sees her at first sight. They develop a relationship. So they basically get together. So what ends up happening is he gets drafted to go to war and participate in one of the Holy Crusades. So he gets drafted, goes into the war. While he's in the war, he actually has a very brutal fight with Jamie Foxx's character, who is playing on the other side, the Arabs they call him. He basically has a violent matchup with him, and they end up chopping off Jamie Foxx's hand, and basically they arrest him, and basically as they arrest him, they begin to torture the people who they have arrested. So Jamie Foxx has a son who was about to get killed, and the main actor, whose name is I believe you pronounce it Taron Egerton. Um, this guy sees what the people on his team are doing, and he presents to stop them. Now obviously they are higher ranking officers, so he tries to stop them, and then they basically think, okay, they think that he's basically turning against them as a sign of treason. So they knock him out and they send him on a ship back to back to where he's based out of. Okay, Jamie Foxx's son does get killed, but he takes note of the fact that Taron Egerton tried to help him, or as I should call him, Robin of Luxley. They saw that he tried to help him, so he stows away on that ship. And basically, when Robin gets back to town, it's this whole thing. What is revealed is that it was basically the emperor. I'm not saying his name correctly. The guy who basically is in charge of everything that's going on, that steals from that basically is the rich. The sheriff of Nottingham. He basically reports all the people that died in the war, and also reports that Robin died in the war. Before Robin left, the girl who he hooked up with made a promise to her that he would come back, and that she promised that she would wait for him. So what do you think happens? It's pretty obvious. He comes back, she thinks that he's dead, so she already got with another dude. So he goes back, he tries to go back to his old place. That has also been seized by the sheriff of Nottingham, because they're stealing from all the people, and they have basically stolen from everybody that was in the city, to the point where they have pushed all of the people who lived in the city out to live in the caves now. So they took their property, everything, because they're collecting all of this money because they have other goals with that money, which is revealed later in the movie. But basically, what ends up happening is he comes back. He finds out that she is now gotten with this other guy, and then he runs into Jamie Foxx's character. Jamie Foxx tells him, "The reason I followed you here is because I believe that you are the one to change things. Basically, steal from the rich so that we can give back to those that need it, and to basically take power back." So basically, Jamie Foxx trains him, because Jamie Foxx, they made him a badass in this movie. He beat up everybody. He basically trains him to, and eventually he becomes Robin Hood. Why I say the movie is, they showed a lot of stuff in the previews, but why I say the movie is not quite as bad as people make it out to be is because, I mean, it's, you could say some of the stuff is cliche, some of the storytelling is whatever, but basically this character becomes a beacon of hope for the people. And what ends up happening later on, as things do get towards the end of the movie, the same guy that got with his girl, obviously when he finds out that Robin is back in the picture, that complicates relationships even further. But when we get towards the end of the movie, and Robin Hood actually convinces everybody, all the regular people, to fight against the other people on the other side, the army, so on and so forth. What ends up happening is they do escape and take the money. They do stop the riches from being transported. The sheriff is, of course, killed. But what ends up happening in true dramatic fashion, once the new boyfriend finds out that his woman is messing around with the old boyfriend, of course he gets angry. So he eventually becomes the new sheriff of Nottingham. And of course, now they have set it up whereas he doesn't get killed at the end. So if this movie does, by some stroke of some type of miracle, make enough money at the box office, they could have a sequel where now he has to go against this other guy. Because it's crazy, because this guy was essentially the one who was rallying the people when Robin Hood wasn't there, talking about, oh, we can do things right the political way. We don't have to resort to violence. But then when Robin came in there and did what he did, and then basically convinced people otherwise, he didn't like any of that. And he also didn't like that he took his woman. So they have basically set it up now where if they have a sequel, Robin Hood will definitely have to face off against this guy, because Robin Hood got the girl in the end, and he got the people and the money for the people. So I don't really know if they're going to do that, but I will just say from an action standpoint, I thought the movie was okay. I mean, I'm not going to say that it was the best action film that I have ever seen, because it was not that, but it definitely wasn't worthy of the 44% I believe it has right now on Rotten Tomatoes. Nah, man, it ain't that horrible. So I do say, though, not an excellent film, but I think it's okay enough. And I also saw this movie because I know that this actor is not going to be in Kingsman, which is a series that I absolutely enjoy. So he's not going to be in Kingsman 3. So I definitely had to see and support him and see why he wanted to be in this movie. So if they do decide to have a sequel, which I don't know if that's going to happen, because I don't think it's going to make enough money to warrant a sequel, then yeah, I may check it out. But I do give them some credit, because I did think that Jamie Foxx was going to turn on this character. I thought that's what, when I saw the initial trailer, I thought his character was going to turn on Robin Hood, but no, they actually do develop a bond, and in surprising fashion, they don't kill Jamie Foxx's character. So they do keep it open ended. If they want to have a sequel, they could do that, but that's only if it does well at the box office, and I don't think it's going to do well at the box office because there are too many other movies out right now. But yeah, that concludes my long-winded review of Robin Hood.
I'm happy that you enjoyed it, and that you found something that wasn't really worth the harsh criticism. My thing was that I just didn't feel that the story was that well developed. And Guy Ritchie, his style of directing is an acquired taste.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one of the tastes that I was just not used to. And while it doesn't necessarily suck, it's spastic. It's like it's all over the place. But I do feel that it doesn't warrant the outright, can't necessarily say hatred, more like forgottenness. I felt that it just got buried in with a lot of different, releases that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
You have big releases, but it was not perfect. It was just not a perfect Guy Ritchie film, and for Jamie Foxx to do that, I was just a little.
Well, here's the question: you think Jamie Foxx was better in this than he was in that Spider-Man movie, or is it about the same?
Oh, you mean the power of Electro?
Yeah, yes.
How can anyone in any show, in any movie, be better than Electro? I'm waiting for him to pop up in Far From Home. Hey, Spider-Man. No, that. Geez, low ways in a handbasket. No, that way. I mean, Jamie has done some questionable things, I think, for the paycheck, but this was better than him. I don't know. I think Electro had the opportunity to be really great, but he just wasn't written that way.
Yeah.
And with this one, I felt that the pacing was just all over the place.
Oh yeah.
And it could have improved so much. And it was forgettable.
They definitely did rush through the training process, because I remember the sequence where they show him doing all this stuff, and then you see that the woman came to visit him, and then the next time you see him, it's like, oh yeah, I came to visit you the other day. And I'm like, well, hold on. So he learned all this training in about one day. He got better at all this other stuff in one day. That's a little ridiculous there.
But that's Guy Ritchie for you. So, yeah, I mean, if you're a Guy Ritchie fan, then maybe see this. It's not his best, but it's not his worst. You're
Oh,
not getting that type stuff. But
I will say if you have to see this, then I will highly recommend you see a matinee or a discounted price. I would not spend 15, 16, $20 to see this. No, don't do that. Discount or matinee prices only, please.
that's so sad. That's just so sad. But yeah, I would have to kind of agree with that. It wasn't great, but it was not good. So have you seen anything else?
Oh no, yeah, I believe that's it for this week. I was going to see Green Book. I did not get to see it yet, so maybe I will talk about that next time.
You can be the help make it $1 million come next week. So
Yes.
sad. I know one of the movies that I saw. It's kind of a little bit old. I just recently was able to see it. I feel that it was one of those movies that you just have to talk about. It was Sorry to Bother You,
Mm-hmm.
which is this. I can't even describe it. How crazy it is. It's about this guy who lives in his built his uncle's house. He lives basically in the garage, and his uncle's house is about to be foreclosed. He's behind on rent. His girlfriend loves him for him, but you want to treat her nice and be able to take her out and do nice things with her. And so he is basically working at he finds his job, his telemarketing job, where he's just trying to call people in order to sell things to them. And it always has like, sorry to bother you. My name is whatever, and you're trying to sell that thing. The thing is that it's a weird take on culture and consumerism and everything that's just amazing. Where he, as a black man, in order for him to be more approachable and to stop getting people to hang up on him, has to use his white voice, which goes back to the whole double talk of how black people have to speak differently when they're around people of their own compared to when they're around, the white people or Caucasians, and how be more approachable sounding, and so that they're not in fear of you. And he learns this through his coworkers, played by Danny Glover, who's still alive and breathing, bless him. And he ends up using his white voice, and by doing that, he is able to be one of the highest sellers. And as well, one of the highest sellers, he's propelled to this secret, separate part of the building where he gets his own elevator. And it is very artistic and it's very crazy, but he also learns what the company is really trying to sell people, and how the society and consumerism is just used to work people to death. And the boss of the whole company is played by Army Hammer, who is amazing. This whole movie is just amazing. It's this stylistic, weird art style movie that just, when you see it, you don't know what you're watching, but you can't stop watching it. Even down from like the costume design to Tessa Thompson is in it, to like her earrings. And it deals a lot with what's going on with today in society and how people are basically being worked to death. And it's like, for what reason? You're being taken away from your friends and your family and your time. And yes, we do need money, but there comes a point when you have to start fighting for basic rights, basic, being able to pay rent, so you pay raise, stuff like that, being treated as a decent human, as compared to a workhorse, which is literally some things that happen is workhorse. This is one of those movies that I felt that was very powerful, that needs to be seen by everyone. It's also very crazy. It's a very literal film, also, and I truly enjoyed it very much, and it is definitely on one of my most memorable movies of 2018 list. So I know you saw the movie, I believe.
Oh yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything you had to say. I was very surprised because this is Boot Riley's first movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I was surprised with the reaction. I also did see, I mean, because I saw it back in, I believe it came out during the summertime.
Yep.
So But yeah. I mean, because again, I am a fan of Keith Stansfield. Any work that he does on anything, because he's so great in Atlanta. So that was the reason why I wanted to see it. And of course, Tessa Thompson is also in this. Um, but yeah, I thought it was a great message. It kind of made me wonder and hope and wonder I definitely am curious to see what else, if what other movies that this guy does in the future. Should he decide to do more movies, Boots Riley? Um, because yeah, it is a movie that you definitely want to talk about. It has a lot of things, and then some of the weird things with the animals, the characters. I thought that was interesting.
I thought it was genius because it was a very literal movie where you're like, what's going on?
Yeah,
But it made sense with the whole animals because that's essentially what, corporations view people as workhorses,
exactly.
so that's what they end up turning people into.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I do want to give a shout out to James St. Patrick. I'm glad that he can play another role other than the roles that he has been playing. Because again, same character, pretty much the same character in the movie he did recently with Tyler Perry. So I was glad to see him in this role play a totally different character, even though he didn't really say much. So
No, I can say that was a weird and brilliant part about it is that they had separate actors do the voiceovers. They
oh
had
yeah.
actors be the white voices for the characters. So I know that Pat Oswalt was involved
Mm-hmm.
and he let his voice out. And Lily James played Tessa Thompson's white voice when she was doing her weird art gallery.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just one of those movies. It's amazing when you just see it. It's just really amazing, and you have to dissect it, and it's still amazing.
So I mean I guess I don't want to give people too much of a preview, but is it safe to say that this is going to be on your list for one of the best of 2018?
It's on the list.
Uh-oh.
Is the
Uh-oh.
best? I don't know, but it's on the list.
Okay. So I look
No,
forward.
your favorite Robin Hood movie might be on that list.
Oh no, that won't be on the list. Oh no. No.
Good old
I'll
guy.
make sure of that.
But go on to our main topic, which I know is something that you are very excited about. Is this little independent movie? Not many people, I'm pretty sure, saw the trailer. It involves this small company called uh, Disney. 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 I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Nays Dibs Disney. Okay, I think it's Disney. It's about this lion and a monkey and something to do with elephants. So, the Lion King, Disney's The Lion King remake, released the trailer released this week, and it has a lot of people talking. A lot of people are in awe. A lot of people are arguing whether or not this is a live action movie, which it is not, since there are no humans actually filmed in this movie. It is a CGI, so it's a remake of an animated film to animated. It's an animated film for an animated film, and I know that a lot of people are like going crazy over this. I was able to see last year the opening sequence of The Lion King, and I cried. And it is a shot for shot. I don't know if the entire movie is shot for shot, but as we've seen in the trailer and as I seen in like the opening sequence last year, it is a shot for shot opening of the whole circle of life. And I know that there's a lot of debate with James Earl Jones. He did the voiceovers for a lot of the movie, and I know he voices Mufasa. He's back again. A lot of people are wondering if that is his actual voice because the movie came out in 1994 and the man's voice never aged or changed. But I've met James Earl Jones and he still sounds like James Earl Jones. So that's just the weird, amazing part about it. So the opening sequence is literally just like the animated cartoon. And it is very emotional, maybe at least for me, because Disney just hits that emotional bone for me. But it's that whole opening sequence, and the little Simba looks very adorable. The fur and everything to me looks very realistic. The rest of the animals look realistic. What is his name? Rafiki.
Yeah.
He looks amazing. They made him look less like the cartoon and more like the actual monkey that he's based on. So I loved it. How do you feel?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say I think it was absolutely a genius idea to release this trailer on Thanksgiving Day when everybody is with their families, because that is why it got a massive reaction all over social media, everywhere. Everyone I know was asking me if I saw this trailer. So good job, Disney, doing that. I would have thought that this trailer would have also been in the theaters. I haven't seen it in the theater yet, but I would assume it will be in there soon because they still have a couple of movies coming out in the next couple of months. But I just think overall, yeah, it looks fantastic to me. I feel, and you know why I had titled this show the way it did. This is by far going to be the biggest movie next summer. I mean, I have no doubt about that because even before I know what all else is coming out, I mean, The Lion King. This is still one of the best animated films that Disney has ever released. And then on you add on top of that, you know, they have the play also for The Lion King. I mean, a lot of people love this story, love this iteration, and what I saw already in this trailer, I thought it looks awesome. I mean, I will be there day one. I have no doubt about that. The casting, the people playing the voices, great cast. So, and then the little shot they had of Simba, yeah, it looks incredible. So I'm curious to see, like you said, if the full movie is shot by shot, that'd be absolutely amazing. And that would also account for why it took so long to make the movie because I remember when they announced this movie was going to be in development. It feels like that was at least 2 or 3 years ago. So yeah, if this is a shot by shot, I'd understand. Okay, yeah, that's why it took a while for them to get everything right. But I just think it looks incredible so far.
Yeah, it is one of those things that's just really beautiful. And the guy who's directing it is John Favreau. John Favreau was
Oh
the director of
yeah,
Iron Man. He was also the director of the Jungle Book remake, which also received a lot of praise both by fans and by the critics. They loved it. I loved it. I was in a theater when I saw the Jungle Book movie with a bunch of kids, and they were very raucous children. But when that movie started, they was right there in that movie, like reacting, "Oh my god, no, don't kill him!" So I have strong hopes for this movie, and I do feel that it is going to be very beautiful. It looks just like the 1994 film. I don't know whether or not that hurts it or helps it. Also, I don't know if I wanted to see any changes for it because that would just kind of make me angry.
uh
Um,
oh.
I know that there's also some backlash and then also some praise because fans are just like that. Beyonce is in it. She voices Nyla. Um,
Why is there backlash?
some people, not all, please do not attack me. Some people do not like the fact that Beyonce is in it. I don't care either way. As long as you're good, because I originally was like, oh no, she's going to be horrible in Dreamgirls. And she did really well in Dreamgirls. So if they want to put her in the movie and they have faith in her, then I just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
So
Do, do,
I,
do,
I don't like Bill Eichner, but he's in there.
who was playing Scar?
Scar, I believe, is being. I hope it's Jeremy Irons that they got him, but they didn't get him. They got I cannot pronounce his name, Chidowell Ejiofor.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I know who that is.
So Donald Glover is Simba.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie McCrae is young Simba. Beyonce is Nyla. Um, Shadihi Wright Joseph is young Nyla. James Earl Jones is Mufasa. Because you just cannot replace James Earl Jones. I'm sorry. Just like, and I wish that Robin Williams was alive because we all know that they're redoing Aladdin and they got Will Smith to do it, and it's like, I don't know. Well, Ejiofor is Scar. Billy Eichner is Timon. I'm sorry, but they should have got Nathan Lane. I just don't like Billy Eichner. Billy Eichner was the one who was in American Horror Story Apocalypse, who was the boyfriend to.
Oh yeah, yep, I know that guy.
Him. I just don't like him. Seth Rogen is Puma. John Oliver is Zazu. Remember the bird?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you have to prepare to be king, and he's like, "Oh, I just can't wait."
Yeah, I remember that guy.
John Candy is Rafiki. Florence Kamasumba is Shinzi, the hyena. And I'm also really angry that Whoopi Goldberg is not in this. Eric Andre is Azazi. Yeah, Keegan Michael Key is Kamari, the hyena. Alfre Woodward is Sarabi, the member of the Mufasa's woman, queen. Yeah. Simba's mama, she's in it as well. I just hope it doesn't suck. That's all I can say. Just don't be as bad as Beauty and the Beast, and we're good.
Yeah. So, I think they think Disney knows that this movie this has to be. You can't mess this up because of the legacy the movie has. The fact the animated film is a classic. They cannot mess this up. So hopefully they have taken notice of this, and they are taking the time to make sure everything is perfect. Because if not, fans will let them know that they didn't like that.
And also, Nyla was not Nyla. Beyonce was Jon Favreau's #1 choice for Nyla, and that he accommodated her schedule just so she can voice the character.
Oh! So that's why people are angry then. That he went to those extreme lengths to make sure she was in it.
People are either just upset that she was in it, or some are really happy. Some don't feel anything.
So are you the person that doesn't feel anything?
I don't feel anything until I actually see what's going on. I know Elton John is doing it, and they brought him out of retirement.
Wow.
To do this movie.
I didn't know he was retired.
He was like, "Oh, I'm announcing my retirement," and he was like, "No, before you do, we got to do this. This will be your last film." So they're going to rework the soundtrack. I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing. Beyonce and Elton John are reworking the soundtrack. They also created a new song for Beyonce. Tim Rice and Elton John created a new song for Beyonce that will be at the end credits of the film, and that there are 4 songs from the original films that will be included, which is "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," Hakuna Matata, "I Just Can't Wait to Be King," and obviously "A Circle of Life." I don't know if we'll get other songs like "Morning Report" that a lot of people don't seem to remember the "Morning Report." I loved "Morning Report" because it's the long and the short. No? Okay. Yeah. Only was that song. But that is what's happening, and that it is scheduled to be released on July 29th, which is the 25th anniversary of the original film.
Wow. So
yeah.
They have to deliver now because there's too much.
yeah, and Lion King will be one of the first theatrical films to be released on Disney Plus, alongside Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, and Captain Marvel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and those who remember, Disney Plus is their own streaming service, and it's supposed to be cheaper than Netflix. I don't know if it's releasing alongside its theatrical release, but it will be released on. I think you would have to wait until it's done with its theatrical release, and then it'll just go on the Disney Plus. Yeah. So instead of as usually how it just drops on Netflix, it'll be on Disney Plus. So the first slate of movies scheduled to be there is The Lion King, Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, and Captain Marvel.
Interesting.
That is interesting. I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah, it is an animated film. That I know for sure, and it is not live action. I just, I just cannot. And also, Hans Zimmer is gonna do the score, which he's amazing. So
Oh yeah, he is. He's great. Yeah.
I have some high hopes for this movie.
Well, I definitely think Disney is aware of the gravity of the situation, so to speak. They know they cannot mess this up. A lot riding on it, so yeah, we will see how everything turns out. But I think it definitely, by far, will be the biggest release. Well, that's the biggest release I know about next year, aside from Avengers and all this other stuff. I think this is even bigger than that because everyone knows The Lion King, and again, it's a classic for so many people, so they cannot mess this up. That'll be a catastrophic L if they do mess it up. So
It's true. And also, to end the whole debate, Disney came out and said it is not live action. Stop, you silly children. It is the technology that they used for the Jungle Book, but it's like times 100. And it's described as a photorealistic computer generated animation. Boom. And they said it will be groundbreaking. So expect some technical awards.
Oh yeah. I believe that even when we saw Simba for the first, I was like, wow, yeah, this looks ridiculous. So yeah.
I was like, oh, we're watching the National Geographic Channel.
I can't wait to see how this turns out. But they have a lot riding on it, so it has to. And a shout out to Donald Glover for representing all the opportunities he has had. Yeah, so even though that Han Solo movie was hot garbage, but yeah, I'm glad to see that he's getting a lot of opportunities. So shout outs to him.
That's cold blooded. Shit. Golly. Yeah, but just don't suck. That's all I ask. Just don't suck. And don't have crappy music that you're gonna rewrite in there, because I'm gonna just be mad. So yeah. Any last things you want to say before we wrap up?
Oh no. Yeah, just thank everybody for checking out this week's show. Feel free to let us know what did you think of some of the shows that we discussed. And yes, thank you for having me return. Hopefully I will not be quite as controversial with some of my comments next week. We'll see.
You just rage hate a lot. Rage hate. Now, thank you everyone for listening and tuning in. And next week we'll have another show. I can say that it will involve Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Aquaman. So that I can say.
I look forward to that because I saw that Aquaman trailer and I thought, this don't look that bad. So we'll see.
We'll see. I will see. That's all I can say is we'll see. I think you're more excited than I am.
Okay.
So yeah, that's around the corner. That's coming up. So yay, don't suck is all I can say. But thank you again for listening to us ramble, and tune in next week for another edition of MovieCast. I am your host, Dana, and again, I am thanking my co-host, Mr. Richard Bailey Jr.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for listening, and guess we'll talk to you next week.
Yes.